My name is Talaja Van, and I'm recording I See the World Through Color. I have always seen color. I've seen it in the classroom vividly, as I stood the only brown face in a room full of my opposites. I have seen it in gift shops, as I stood in line waiting as the cheery white checkout girl watched me looking at and touching things, like she thought I might take something without paying for it. I have seen color in every part of my life, from the time that I was a small child, ignorant to the underlying assumptions behind different people and races, to the day when I met and spoke with a black cop about recent shootings involving officers like himself and unarmed black men. I was in my freshman math class carrying on a conversation with my best friend Ty when an officer entered to speak with our teacher. I grew tense immediately. There was a cop standing in the same room as me with a gun in his holster, with a taker of life on his waist as he acknowledged my friend and I. My facial expression and body language changed drastically as I stopped talking and a look of concern spread across my face. When my friend and teacher noticed and asked me what was wrong, I held nothing back. I felt safe in their presence and answered them honestly as I eyed the officer, who was listening to our conversation curiously. "I don't trust him," I said plainly. "He makes me nervous." The officer looked surprised and offended at my remark, and my best friend laughed at it, under the impression that I was joking. I continued, assuring her that this was far from a joke to me. How could I not be nervous with him in here? It's men like him, with their guns and their badges, that have been killing people like us in the street. They kill us for small things, like running from them or bad-mouthing them, things that lives should never be ended over. They shoot unarmed blacks with their firearms for things like that, people like him, and you stand there with them and you laugh at my worries dismissing them, while he's in our school with a gun, for God's sakes. He could take his gun out any time and shoot me or you or any of us. I breathed tiredly and maintained a look of disdain directed towards the officer. He spoke then, actively participating in the conversation for the first time since we'd started it, claiming that he would never shoot me for no reason, as if that made his position any less threatening. It didn't change anything for me, because I knew that he could shoot me, if it was what he truly wished to do, and there wouldn't be anything that I could do about it. The potentiality of it was the most frightening thing, not the probability. He continued to defend himself and his colleagues, explaining to me that in his opinion, the biggest issue that the public had with the recent police shootings was that they involved white cops shooting black people. They weren't concerned about officers of color like himself. That statement set off a chain of thoughts in my mind over a period of time, and at the end of it, I was left with a tough question. Is it only considered wrong by black people to shoot a black person if you're white? If the answer was yes, I believed it. After all, black-on-black shootings happen every day, but no movements that I hear of try to stop that. I don't hear Black Lives Matter movements chanting at rallies to stop black people from killing each other. Yet I see several of their rallies and protests turn violent as they aggressively and passionately protest white cops shooting unarmed black men. Their members approach and address white cops with levels of apprehension, but mostly levels of scorn that I've yet to approach even my most hated foe with. As I thought more, I wondered why I wasn't as apprehensive as they were around white cops only, but around all cops with weapons. Furthermore, why was I equally upset at the thought of a white cop shooting a black man as I was at the thought of a black cop shooting a black man? Why didn't I, someone who constantly sees the color of people's skin, let the color of a police officer's skin affect my opinion on them killing black civilians? Why wasn't I biased towards cops of different races in the same situations? I discovered my answer after a few weeks of reflection in my sophomore English class on social justice and racism. I am not biased because I see color. I don't ignore it or pretend it doesn't have an effect on my life. I recognize it, consider it, and move on. I don't place a large level of importance on the color of people's skins even though I see it. I place importance on their actions, and I think people that do place importance on skin color and race only divide us as people. It is not the color of our skin that divides us, but the importance that we as individuals place on it. This I believe.